Listen closely, my friends. There is a version of you that no insult can reach. A version that walks through betrayal without becoming bitter, listens to criticism without surrendering its peace, and stands so firmly within itself that the chaos of others feels no more threatening than rain falling on a mountain. That version is not a fantasy. It already exists, buried beneath years of automatic reactions, waiting for one decision to finally set it free. Most people believe anger is power. They believe reacting instantly proves confidence and self-respect. But the truth is exactly the opposite. The people who are easiest to provoke are often the easiest to control. Every insult that steals your peace, every betrayal that keeps you awake at night, and every small inconvenience that ruins your day is proof that someone else has gained control over a part of your mind that should have belonged only to you. The ancient Stoics understood something that most people never discover. Real strength is not found in winning arguments or silencing your enemies. It is found in becoming so emotionally disciplined that no person, no insult, and no difficult situation can force you to become someone you never wanted to be. That is the kind of strength you are about to build. In this video, I will take you through 10 timeless Stoic principles that have transformed ordinary men into calm, disciplined, and unshakable individuals. Each principle builds on the last, and the deeper you go, the more control you will gain over your emotions, your decisions, and your entire life. By the time you reach the final principle, you will understand why the people who seem impossible to offend are often the people who possess the greatest power. So stay with me until the very end, because the last principle is the one that ties everything together, and once you truly understand it, you will never look at anger the same way again. Principle 1. The space that decides your entire life. Think about the last time someone made you angry. Maybe it was a careless comment, a disrespectful look, or a betrayal you never saw coming. It felt as though they reached into your mind and switched something on without your permission. Your heart raced, your thoughts scattered, and for the rest of the day, they controlled your emotions without ever touching you again. But what if I told you that this is the greatest illusion most people live under? Epictetus, a man who spent part of his life as a slave, discovered a truth so powerful that it survived nearly 2,000 years. He taught that people are never disturbed by what happens to them, but by the meaning they give to what happens. That single idea separates those who remain calm under pressure from those who spend their lives reacting to everyone around them. The event is never the prison. Your interpretation is. Imagine two people hearing the exact same insult. One carries it for years, replaying it until it becomes part of their identity. The other hears the same words, smiles quietly, and continues walking as if nothing happened. The difference was never the insult. The difference was the story each person chose to tell themselves after hearing it. One became a prisoner of another person's opinion. The other remained completely free. This is where your power begins. Between what happens to you and how you respond, there is a space so small that most people never notice it. Yet inside that tiny space lives every decision you will ever make, every relationship you will ever build, and every version of yourself you will ever become. The people who master this space are almost impossible to manipulate because they no longer react automatically. They choose. Starting today, I want you to catch that moment before your emotions take over. Not after you explode, not after you regret your words, before. The instant you feel anger rising, do nothing for a few seconds. Observe it instead of obeying it. That single pause may seem insignificant, but it is the moment weak minds become disciplined minds, and ordinary people begin transforming into the kind of person the world can no longer control. Most people will never practice this because reacting is easier than thinking. They will continue blaming difficult people for their emotions while unknowingly handing over control of their peace every single day. But you are no longer following that path. Principle 2. Stop expecting people to live by your values. One of the greatest sources of anger is not what people do. It is what you expected them not to do. You believed they would be honest because you are honest. You believed they would stay loyal because loyalty means something to you. You believed they would treat you with the same respect you freely gave them, and when they didn't, it felt like they had stolen something from you. But the painful truth is this: you were not betrayed by reality. You were betrayed by your expectations. The Stoics understood that every person acts according to the level of their character, their fears, and their understanding of the world. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself every morning that before the day was over, he would meet selfish people, arrogant people, dishonest people, and ungrateful people, not because he was pessimistic, but because he refused to let reality surprise him. When you stop expecting roses from a thorn bush, its thorns can no longer disappoint you. Think about the people who have hurt you the most. If you look closely, the signs were often there long before the betrayal happened. The selfish friend had always been selfish. The dishonest person had always found excuses to lie. The disrespectful person had always shown small hints of disrespect. The pain became unbearable because you kept hoping they would suddenly become someone they had never shown themselves to be. Hope replaced observation, and expectation replaced wisdom. This does not mean you should become cold or stop trusting people. It means you should stop confusing your values with theirs. Judge people by their consistent actions, not by your good intentions. When someone repeatedly shows you who they are, believe their actions before you believe your wishes. That single habit will save you from years of unnecessary disappointment and emotional exhaustion. From this day forward, stop asking, "Why did they do this to me?" Ask a better question instead. What did I ignore because I wanted a different reality? That question shifts your focus away from blaming others and back towards strengthening your own judgment. And once your judgment becomes sharper, fewer people will ever have the chance to disturb your peace. But even after you stop expecting too much from others, there is one trap that still captures almost everyone. It is the desperate need to prove that you are right. And that invisible battle has destroyed more peace, more relationships, and more lives than most people will ever realize. Principle 3. The prison of being right. There is a prison that millions of people enter every single day, yet almost nobody realizes they are inside it. It has no walls, no chains, and no locked doors. It is built from one dangerous belief: I have to prove that I am right. The moment someone disagrees with you, questions your character, or refuses to understand your point of view, your mind quietly declares war. Not because the truth is in danger, but because your ego believes it is. Ask yourself this: how many arguments have you actually won? And now ask a far more uncomfortable question. How many of those victories made your life better? Most people spend years collecting small victories that cost them their peace, their relationships, and sometimes even their future. They walk away feeling correct, yet strangely empty, because the ego celebrates winning the battle while the soul quietly mourns everything that was lost to achieve it. The Stoics understood something that modern people almost never stop to consider. Your opinion of yourself should never depend on another person's agreement. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire, yet he constantly reminded himself that being understood by everyone was never his responsibility. His responsibility was to live according to reason, even if the entire world misunderstood him. That is real confidence. It does not demand applause. It does not chase validation. It simply stands in silence because it already knows its own worth. Imagine standing before a mirror covered in mud. Would you waste hours arguing with the mud, demanding that it show your reflection? Of course not. You would simply clean the mirror or walk away. Yet every day people argue with minds that have already decided not to listen. They fight for understanding from those who never intended to understand them. They keep knocking on doors that were never going to open, then wonder why they feel exhausted. From this moment on, stop measuring success by how many arguments you win. Measure it by how many battles you no longer need to fight. Because every unnecessary argument steals a piece of your attention, and attention is the most valuable currency you possess. The strongest person in the room is rarely the one who speaks the longest. It is the one who knows exactly when silence has already said enough. But there is an even deeper level of freedom. Even if you stop arguing with people, they can still live inside your mind for days, weeks, or even years. And as long as they occupy your thoughts, they still control part of your life. Principle 4. The second arrow that destroys your peace. Very few people are destroyed by what happens to them. They are destroyed by what they keep doing to themselves after it happens. The insult lasts 5 seconds, but they replay it for 5 years. The betrayal happens once, but they relive it every night before they fall asleep. The rejection ends in a single moment, yet they carry it into every future relationship, every new opportunity, and every quiet moment when their mind has nothing else to hold on to. The world wounded them once. They chose to keep the wound open. The ancient Stoics believed that pain is often unavoidable, but prolonged suffering is usually a choice hidden beneath unconscious habits. The first blow belongs to life. The second blow is the one you deliver to yourself every time you replay the memory, rewrite the conversation, imagine a different ending, or wonder what you should have said instead. That second blow is always heavier than the first, because it is repeated thousands of times until the pain becomes part of your identity. Imagine carrying a burning piece of coal in your hand because someone else threw it at you. At first, it hurts because of what they did, but after several minutes, the pain no longer belongs to the person who threw it. It belongs to the person who refused to let go. This is exactly how resentment works. Every day you continue carrying it, you are asking yesterday to keep controlling today. And yesterday always accepts the invitation. This is why some people never truly move forward. Their bodies live in the present, but their minds remain trapped inside conversations that ended years ago. They wake up each morning believing they are facing a new day, when in reality they are reliving the same emotional experience with different scenery. Time alone does not heal. Awareness does. Healing begins the moment you stop feeding old memories with fresh attention. From this day forward, every time your mind drags you back into an old argument or an old betrayal, ask yourself one question. Am I remembering this to become wiser, or am I remembering it to suffer again? That single question will expose whether your mind is searching for freedom or simply repeating an addiction to pain. Because the strongest people are not those who never get hurt. They are the ones who refuse to bleed from the same wound forever. But even after you learn to release the past, there is one enemy that remains more dangerous than every insult, every betrayal, and every painful memory combined. It has followed you since childhood. It speaks in your own voice, and most people obey it without ever realizing they have a choice. Principle 5. the enemy who speaks with your own voice. There is someone you have listened to every single day of your life. Someone who knows every mistake you have ever made, every fear you have tried to hide, every regret you wish you could erase. This voice follows you into every room, every relationship, and every decision you make. Most people spend their lives trying to defeat difficult people, never realizing that the person who has stolen the most peace from them has been speaking from inside their own mind all along. Marcus Aurelius wrote something that changed the lives of countless people. Your mind will become the shape of your dominant thoughts. Think about what that really means. If your inner voice constantly tells you that you were disrespected, abandoned, underestimated, or broken, then your mind slowly begins to build a world where every new experience becomes evidence that those stories are true. Reality bends around the beliefs you repeat to yourself, whether they are true or not. Watch your thoughts carefully after someone hurts you. The event ends quickly, but your mind refuses to let it die. It begins whispering, "You should have said more. They never respected you. You'll never change. They'll probably do it again." Notice something terrifying about this voice. It never arrives to solve your suffering. It only arrives to keep it alive. It disguises itself as protection while quietly becoming the source of your prison. The Stoics understood that the mind is like a kingdom. Every thought you accept without questioning is like opening the city gates to a stranger. Some thoughts arrive carrying wisdom. Others arrive carrying fear, pride, resentment, and insecurity. If you never question who you allow inside, those visitors eventually become rulers. And before long, your emotions no longer belong to you. They belong to the stories you have repeated so many times that they now feel like truth. From this moment forward, stop believing every thought simply because it appears in your mind. Your thoughts are not commands. They are visitors asking for permission. Some deserve a place at your table, but many deserve to be shown the door immediately. The day you stop obeying every voice inside your head is the day you begin reclaiming ownership of your life. Because freedom is not the absence of difficult thoughts. It is the ability to decide which ones deserve your attention. But there is one final illusion that keeps even disciplined people trapped. It is the belief that peace will arrive only when the world finally changes. That illusion has stolen entire lifetimes from millions of people. Principle 6. Stop demanding that life obey you. Every moment you suffer, ask yourself one question. What am I secretly demanding from life right now? Maybe you are demanding that people understand you, that your family appreciates you, that your past never happened, that unfair people suddenly become fair, that the world rewards your kindness exactly when you expect it to. Hidden beneath almost every frustration is an invisible demand, and the moment reality refuses to obey it, your peace begins to collapse. The Stoics saw this trap long before psychology gave it a name. They understood that suffering grows whenever the mind confuses preference with requirement. There is nothing wrong with wanting respect, success, love, or justice. The danger begins when you convince yourself that you cannot be at peace until those things arrive. At that moment, your happiness no longer belongs to you. It belongs to circumstances you cannot command, people you cannot control, and a future that has not even happened yet. Imagine standing in the middle of the ocean screaming at the waves because they refuse to become calm. The sea does not hear your anger. The wind does not negotiate. The storm does not apologize. Yet every day, millions of people do exactly that with life itself. They argue with reality, wishing yesterday had never happened, wishing difficult people were different, wishing pain had chosen someone else. Reality never loses these arguments. Only the person arguing with it does. Marcus Aurelius woke every morning knowing that the day would contain disappointment, injustice, misunderstanding, and loss. Yet instead of asking life to change its nature, he prepared his own mind to meet it. That is why he remained steady while others collapsed. He understood that peace does not come from living in a perfect world. It comes from carrying a mind that does not depend on perfection to remain whole. The strongest people are not protected from chaos. They are prepared for it before it arrives. Most people spend their entire lives chasing a future where everything finally goes their way. They quietly tell themselves, "When people change, when I become successful, when life becomes easier, then I'll finally be at peace." But peace that depends on tomorrow will never belong to today. And because tomorrow never stops moving, neither does the finish line. They spend decades running toward a destination that was never real. So stop asking life to become easier. Ask yourself to become stronger. Stop demanding that reality match your imagination. Learn to meet reality exactly as it is, then decide your response with clarity instead of emotion. The day you stop negotiating with the world is the day the world loses its ability to negotiate with your peace. Principle 7. Die before you die. There is a quiet tragedy that destroys more lives than failure ever could. Most people never become prisoners of another person. They become prisoners of an identity they created years ago. They keep introducing themselves to the world with invisible sentences. "I'm just an angry person. I always overthink. I can't forgive. This is just who I am." They repeat these stories so often that they no longer feel like opinions. They feel like facts. And once a story becomes your identity, your mind will defend it, even when it is making you miserable. The Stoics believed that every sunrise offered a second birth. Yesterday's mistakes, yesterday's humiliation, yesterday's victories, none of them had the authority to define today unless you carried them across the night. Seneca warned that we suffer more in imagination than in reality, but there is another truth hidden beneath his words. We also remain trapped because we are terrified of letting the old version of ourselves die. We cling to familiar pain simply because it is familiar, forgetting that comfort and freedom are rarely found in the same place. Imagine a snake refusing to shed its old skin because it feels safe. At first, nothing seems wrong, but as the snake grows, the skin becomes tighter, heavier, until the very thing that once protected it begins to suffocate it. Human beings do the same. Your anger once protected you. Your pride once protected you. Your emotional walls once protected you. But what protected you yesterday may be imprisoning you today. Growth always demands the death of an old identity before a stronger one can be born. This is why so many people change their jobs, their cities, even their relationships, yet carry the same suffering everywhere they go. They believe they need a different environment when what they truly need is a different identity. Wherever the old self survives, the old life quietly follows. You cannot build an unshakable mind while protecting the habits that keep breaking it. Something inside you must end before something greater can begin. So ask yourself a question that most people avoid for their entire lives. If I met myself for the first time today, would I choose to become the person I currently am? If the answer is no, then stop negotiating with the past. Let the old version of you die with dignity, not your memories, not your humanity. Only the identity that no longer serves the future you are trying to build. Because the greatest transformation is never becoming someone new. It is finally having the courage to stop pretending you are still the person you used to be. And yet, even after you leave your old identity behind, one final test remains. It is the test that reveals whether your peace is real or merely temporary. Because anyone can remain calm when life is easy. The true measure of your character is revealed when life gives you every reason to lose yourself, and you refuse. Principle 8. Become the observer of your own mind. There comes a moment in every person's life when they realize something that changes everything. You are not your anger. You are not your fear. You are not even the endless stream of thoughts passing through your mind. Yet most people spend their entire lives identifying with every emotion that appears within them. The moment anger rises, they become anger. The moment fear arrives, they become fear. They never stop to ask the one question that separates a free mind from a captive one: who is the one noticing all of this? Marcus Aurelius practiced a discipline that few people truly understand. Whenever a powerful emotion appeared, he did not immediately obey it. He stepped back mentally and examined it as though it belonged to someone else. He understood that the instant you begin observing an emotion instead of becoming it, that emotion starts losing its authority over you. Awareness creates distance, and in that distance, freedom quietly begins to grow. Imagine standing beside a river. The water never stops moving. Leaves, branches, and debris constantly drift past. Now imagine jumping into that river every time a piece of debris appears. You would spend your entire life fighting a current that never ends. Your thoughts are no different. They are constantly moving, constantly changing, constantly trying to pull you into stories that may have nothing to do with reality. Wisdom is not learning how to stop the river. Wisdom is learning to remain on the riverbank and watch it flow without being carried away. This is why the strongest people are often the quietest. Their silence is not weakness, it is observation. While everyone else is reacting automatically, they are watching their own minds with remarkable clarity. They notice anger rising before it becomes words. They notice pride before it becomes conflict. They notice fear before it becomes surrender. They have trained themselves to witness their inner world before acting upon it. That single habit gives them a level of self-control that most people mistake for natural talent, when in reality it is years of conscious discipline. From this moment on, practice becoming the observer instead of the actor inside your own mind. When anger appears, don't say, "I am angry." Say, "Anger is visiting me." When fear arrives, don't say, "I am afraid." Say, "Fear has appeared." Those few words may seem insignificant, but they quietly break the invisible chain between you and your emotions. You begin to remember that emotions are temporary guests, not permanent rulers. They can knock on your door, but they do not have the right to own your house. Principle 9. Live as if this moment will never return. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine being given one final sunrise. One final conversation with the people you love. One final chance to hear the wind, to watch the rain, to feel your own heartbeat. Now ask yourself something that most people avoid their entire lives. Would you still waste this day proving strangers wrong? Would you still spend hours replaying an insult from someone whose name the world will soon forget? The tragedy of human life is not that it is short. It is that we live as though it is endless, carelessly trading irreplaceable days for emotions that will never matter in the end. The Stoics carried a practice that frightened most people because it forced them to face the one truth no one can escape. They called it memento mori, remember that you will die, not as a threat, but as a liberation. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that every person who praised him, criticized him, loved him, or hated him would soon disappear, just as he would. Suddenly, the argument that felt so important became meaningless. The insult lost its poison. The ego lost its appetite. Because when you see life through the eyes of mortality, almost everything your mind clings to reveals itself as painfully small. Look at the people around you. One day, every face you know will become a memory. Every place you visit will belong to another generation. Even your own name, spoken so often today, will eventually be spoken for the last time. This is not a reason to fear life. It is the reason to stop wasting it. Every minute spent carrying resentment is a minute permanently removed from the only life you were ever promised. Every night spent arguing with yesterday is another sunrise you will never experience again. Imagine holding a glass made of crystal so thin that it could shatter at any moment. You would not grip it with anger. You would not throw it across the room because someone offended you. You would handle it with extraordinary care because you understand its value. Your life is infinitely more fragile than that glass. Yet most people protect objects more carefully than they protect their own peace. They gamble away hours, months, and even years over things that will not matter when they reach the end of their journey. So live with the awareness that today is not guaranteed to return. Speak with intention. Forgive more quickly. Walk away from battles that only feed your ego. Protect your attention as though it were the most valuable thing you own, because it is. The day you truly accept that your time is limited is the day you stop living like someone who has forever. And strangely, that is the day you begin to feel truly alive. Now only one principle remains. It is not about controlling your emotions, your thoughts, or even your time. It is about becoming the kind of person whose peace no longer depends on anything outside of them. This final principle is where every lesson you've learned comes together, and once you understand it, you will never have to search for freedom again. Principle 10. Become the mountain. Everything you have learned until now leads to this one truth. You do not become free when people finally respect you. You do not become free when life stops hurting you. You do not become free when the world becomes fair. You become free the moment your inner world is no longer controlled by your outer world. That is the destination every Stoic philosopher spent a lifetime walking toward. Not perfection, not comfort, but a mind so deeply rooted that no storm could tear it from the ground. Imagine a mountain standing beneath a sky that never stays the same. One day the sun warms its face. The next, snow buries its peaks. Violent winds crash against its cliffs. Thunder shakes the valleys below. Yet the mountain never argues with the weather. It never begs the storm to stop. It never celebrates the sunshine as though it will last forever. It simply remains what it is. Strong, silent, unmoved. The mountain understands something most people never will. The storm is only a visitor, but your character is your home. Marcus Aurelius lost children. Seneca lost everything he had built before being ordered to die. Epictetus lived in chains before he ever spoke about freedom. None of them became great because life spared them from suffering. They became great because suffering failed to change who they chose to become. The world broke their plans, stole their comfort, and tested every belief they held. Yet it could never steal the one thing they guarded above all else, the sovereignty of their own mind. That is why their words are still alive centuries later, while the names of the people who tried to destroy them have almost disappeared from history. Most people spend their lives trying to control what was never theirs to control. They chase approval that fades, possessions that disappear, status that can be taken away overnight, and opinions that change with the wind. Then one day they wake up wondering why they feel empty. it is because they built their identity on things that were never permanent. But the person who builds his life on character instead of circumstance becomes impossible to shake. When praise comes, he remains humble. When criticism comes, he remains steady. When success arrives, he remains disciplined. And when loss inevitably finds him, he remains whole, because his peace was never borrowed from the world in the first place. So from this day forward, stop asking yourself, how can I make life easier? Ask a better question. How can I become the kind of person that even a difficult life cannot defeat? The answer to that question will change every decision you make. Every insult will become training. Every failure will become instruction. Every setback will become another stone beneath your feet instead of another weight upon your shoulders. This is not the end of your journey. It is the beginning of a life where your greatest strength is no longer what happens to you, but who you choose to become because of it. One day, someone will try to provoke you. Someone will underestimate you. Someone will speak words they hope will steal your peace. And in that moment, you will remember these 10 principles. You will pause. You will breathe. You will smile quietly, not because life has become easier, but because you have become stronger than the life that once controlled you. And that is the highest form of freedom any human being can ever achieve. If you've made it this far, you've already taken the first step toward becoming someone the world can no longer control. Life will still test you. People will still disappoint you. But now you know that your greatest strength has never been the ability to control others. It has always been the ability to control yourself. The next time someone tries to steal your peace, don't react immediately. Remember these 10 principles, pause for a moment, and choose the response that your highest self would be proud of. That single decision has the power to change the direction of your entire life. If this video brought you value, let me know in the comments which principle impacted you the most. And if you're committed to building an unshakable mind, subscribe and join us for more timeless wisdom. Until next time, guard your mind, protect your peace, and remember, no one can control the person who has already mastered themselves.